get on to what we call a limited access highway, like an interstate. This is going to be the turnpike, but you've got limited access highways that aren't turnpikes, like I-44, 169 in Tulsa. Those are all limited access. There's no intersections. There's no on a ramp, and you've got to exit on a ramp. The first part, and this is a little bit different because you've got this little horseshoe thing that connects 66, 266, and I-44 over here, and you can go east towards Joplin, or you can go west towards Tulsa. And we're just going to take a quick trip from Verdigris to Tulsa, and we will be using a pike pass. And I'm staying in this lane, but I'm still going to check my blind spot because you could have people flying up and trying to move over into our lane here. But so what we're going to do is we're going to be using the pike pass. We're not going to stop and pay with coins, but you still got to slow down. You know, the posted speed limit here is 25. So once we get through and the little light tells us, it looks like the little light's gone, but it usually says thank you and lights up. But you can see that we're dealing with a decent amount of traffic. So I'm already looking just to kind of give me an idea of what we're dealing with. But I do have a merge lane here. And you'll notice that there was a guy coming in my lane, two guys coming in my lane. They both moved over for me because they had room to do so. Speed limit's 75. Right now I just hit 65. So as I was going down that ramp, I was accelerating pretty decent. You don't want to get up onto a turnpike where the speed limit is 75 and you're going 50 or 55. You're going to cause more problems. You may feel like you're being safer, but you need to be close to matching the speed that's already on the turnpike. And you can see I've got a really good following distance. There's all kinds of trucks up there that are following really closely. You've got a moving van up there that's just riding the bumper of a semi-truck. This white SUV in front of me, we'll time it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got about a 6-second following distance right now. I'm doing about 70. We're not in any hurry. We're just doing this just to kind of show you what it's like. Highway and interstate driving seems to tend to freak kids out more than just about anything else, but statistically it's one of the safest kinds of driving that you can do. You know, intersections in town are much more dangerous than doing what we're doing. Okay, so we've got a semi-truck up here that's going kind of slow. I'm still going to stay out of that rat race up there. You can see there's a whole collection of vehicles that are just right on each other's bumpers. But I'm going to prepare to go ahead and pass this semi-truck. So the first thing that we're going to do anytime we change lanes or we move to occupy a different lane is we're going to signal everybody behind me. I've checked my mirrors pretty frequently. I've got a couple of cars coming up on me. I'm going to signal left. I'm going to check my mirrors. And then I'm going to take a quick look over my left shoulder just to make sure that nobody's in my blind spot. Move over. Pick my speed up just a little bit because I started slowing down just a little bit. You can see that, well, you can't see it, but there's two cars that have come up on me pretty quickly. So I'm taking my speed up just a little bit, up to about 74. We're actually going to be passing two trucks here. Now I know this truck right here is the only thing that I'm passing right now. So as I'm going by, I'm going to go ahead and signal. And instead of clearing my blind spot again, I'm going to make sure that he fully appears in my rearview mirror. He's there. And I'm going to move over. And that's a lane change. That's, you know, passing a truck, however you want to look at it. But the process is really still the same. Now, if we had been traveling in the left lane for a really long time, like you see all those cars that are up there, and we decided that we wanted to move back over to the right lane. Then we're going to signal, check our mirror, and clear our blind spot because we've been traveling over there for a little bit. Changing lanes and parking are the two most frequent things that you're going to do, or one of the, obviously starting, stopping, and turning, but the things that, seem to make kids nervous. And one of them is changing lanes. You really need to know how to change lanes, how to do it smoothly. One of the most common things that I see in the driver's ed car is when we decide that we are going to change lanes, your foot will come off the accelerator and we start slowing down. You don't want to do that. You want to maintain the speed that you're going. And if you're going around somebody, or even if you're, getting out of somebody's way, whatever it is, you want to maintain the speed that you had. You don't want to slow down. But it's really simple. Signal. We always signal our intentions first. Check our mirrors. Check our blind spot, whichever way we're going to go. So if we're going to the right, we're going to look over that shoulder. If we're going left, we're going to look over that shoulder. So now we've gone, we're still on the Will Rogers Turnpike. We're going to get off, stay on I-44, but we're going to get off here in East Tulsa or Catoosa, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to stay in this lane. Both of these lanes on the right are exit lanes. The lane I'm in can go straight or right. I'm going to signal right, but I'm going to stay in this lane. The reason I'm doing that is because the lane on my right is going to end pretty soon as we get down towards the bottom of this hill and this curve. The speed limit drops. We're off of the turnpike now. But I want to make as few lane changes as possible. And the traffic's not terrible right now. It's about almost 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. As you can see the two yellow signs there indicating that the lane on the right is going to end down there at the bottom of the hill. So now I really just have one more lane change to make. So I'm going to signal left. I'm going to check my mirror, check my blind spot, and ease over. And then turn my signal off. It says Catoosa right lane. So that's the lane that I want to be in. And there it is. You notice that it said 45 miles an hour in the exit lane. So we've dropped our speed. We're down to 45. You can see there's been a fire here. A little grass fire. Now I've got to be careful here. I've got a solid white line on my left, which means I can't cross it. But I really want to pay attention to what's coming around me. I'm going to stay in this lane, but I don't want anybody coming in from I-44 and or coming, the other direction and trying to merge with me. You'll see people cross that solid white line all the time. So now as we get down into Catoosa, speed limit is 55. It's going to drop from 55 to 50. So I'm not even using my brake. I'm just backing off my accelerator. I never had to touch my brake. The speed limit changes here to 40, and right now I'm at 40. One of the things that you'll notice if you haven't driven very much, or if you've never driven at all, you stay on the highway for a long time, 10 minutes or more, and then you get off the highway and go into town, and the speed limit, you might have been driving 65 or 70 miles an hour, and you go into town and it might be 35 or 40. It's going to feel really slow. It's kind of it's a weird sensation, but you'll very quickly learn to override that. You've just got to be mindful of what your speed is all the time. I'm just under 40 right now. And you'll notice when I pull up, it's barely visible. But there is a white limit line right here. And we're going to try to just put our bumper right behind it and stop. The guy on my left is just a little bit over it, which is not a big deal. A lot of people do that, but you know, for your driving test, you want to stay just right behind that limit line. Even though it's red, I'm still scanning. I'm looking around. Turns green. I know nobody's in the intersection, so I just cruise right on through. Speed limit's still 40. Got a truck over here on the right with his hazards on. He may just be getting something at the fruit stand, but I'm going to go ahead and move over real quick. Make sure it's clear. And then I'm going to signal right. Clear my blind spot, and I'm going to move right back over. Turn my signal off. So now we are on Highway 66, but this is not an interstate. You have intersections. You have, we cruised through town on Highway 66. We went through a couple of red lights or a couple of traffic lights. We've got a light up here. We've got a light in Verdigris where we'll actually turn. So this is not a true interstate. It's a highway, but it's not limited access. Everybody can get on it. You can go to Reesers and get right on Highway 66. So there's a lot more stopping. There's a lot more stopping, speed changes. 66 obviously is historic highway, but it goes through a number of towns from 2/3 of the United States. It's a long, long highway. So the speed limit was 50 back there, goes up to 60 here. One of the things that I like to do, especially if I'm running behind or if I'm tempted to speed, is I use my cruise control. And I know you probably can't see it too well. Most cruise controls are going to either be on a stick, like the window washer stick, or it's going to, a lot of new cars have the buttons on the front. Mine has quite a few. I can control my stereo, the volume, the channels. I can push a thing to call somebody and hang up the phone. But mine is on the right. It's just a little circle. Most cruise controls all pretty much work the same way. Mine, you have to turn it on, and I like to let it sit for, because I think it's like a little cylinder that spins, but they say it's not a bad thing for you to let them warm up for a few seconds. So there's a little indicator light on my dash that just says cruise. And I'm going to pick up my speed just a little bit, up to about 59. The speed limit is 60. And I'm going to hit set, S-E-T, set. I can take my foot off the accelerator, and now it's holding me at about 58, 59 miles per hour. I don't have a digital readout, but I'm just below 60 miles per hour. Now, I will say this. It's great for long trips. It's great, to try to keep me from potentially being tempted to go over the speed limit. One of the things you have to keep care of is that you don't really kind of get lulled into, it's very easy to kind of get lazy when you have the cruise on. You still need to be able to, if something happens, like that van cut over too close, I'm not necessarily hitting my brake, but I'm going to be covering my brake with my foot just to be ready. He's obviously going on down. Everybody's going just a little bit faster than I am, so I'm not really worried about it. The other thing that I like on my cruise control is if the speed limit goes up, say it doesn't here, but if it went up to 65, I could tap, there's a plus and a minus sign, which I can add miles per hour, or I can take away miles per hour. And typically about one touch equals 1 mile per hour. So if I wanted to go up 3 miles per hour, I could hit that plus sign, 1, 2, 3, and you would see my speed increase up to about 62, 63, okay? We're not, but if I need to slow down too, like, if we go if we kept going, we're not going to keep going, but if we go back through Verdigris where the Quick Trip is, the speed limit under the 266 bridge goes from 60 to 50. So in the mornings, if I'm driving to school, typically I've already got my cruise. When I leave, I'll have it set at 60. And as we're coming down there by the fire department, I'll touch my minus sign 10 times. It drops, and I don't even have to touch my brake unless I get caught at the light. Touch it 10 times, it drops down from 60 to 50. It's pretty great. So I'm looking way out ahead, and I can tell that the light's red. If I touch my brake, it cancels my cruise. My cruise control is still on, but it takes away the part that it's actually holding your speed. And it won't, I can reset it, I can resume it, I can do a number of things. But I'm done, I'm going home. I'm gonna turn my cruise off, I'm gonna signal right. And you'll notice there's a sign that says, don't drive on the shoulder. It's a very tempting place. They've even drawn white lines to keep people from doing that. It's a pretty steep little drop off into that ditch. But it's not legal to cross that white line and drive on the shoulder. And I know you'll see people do it all the time. You'll see police do it a lot of times. But it's not a legal maneuver. So, all right, well, I'm almost home.